Let's talk about cybersecurity. But forget waiting around for alarms to go off. Today, we're diving into the much more proactive world of threat hunting, which is really the art of seeking out danger before it gets a chance to strike.
I want you to think about that for a second. All your security systems, your firewalls, your antivirus, they're all standing at the door, right? They're designed to stop known threats from getting in. But what happens when something slips past them? You see, the most dangerous attacks are almost always the ones that are already inside, moving silently, completely under the radar. And it's wild, but studies show the average attacker can just hang out inside a network for months before anyone even knows they're there.
For a long, long time, the standard approach was just reactive. You'd set up all your defenses and then basically wait for a siren to go off. If you didn't hear anything, you just assumed you were safe. But that whole game has changed. The proactive mindset of threat hunting is completely different. It starts with the assumption that a breach has already happened. And this simple shift turns security analysts into digital detectives, actively searching for the faintest clues and the most subtle signs that an intruder is lurking.
So how do we actually fight these invisible threats? Well, this is where the threat hunter enters the picture.
So here's the official definition, but let's break it down. Threat hunting is the proactive practice, that's the key word, of digging through all of your digital environments. We're talking networks, computers, data, everything. And you're looking for threats that have already outsmarted your automated defenses. It's not about building higher walls anymore. It's about actively patrolling the castle ground. The whole mindset of a hunter really comes down to these three things. First, as we've said, they're proactive. They are not waiting for trouble to find them. Second, their work is hypothesis-driven. A good hunt always starts with a theory, a what if, that's based on some piece of intelligence or maybe just an anomaly that looks suspicious. And finally, it's iterative. It's a constant cycle. You search, you find some clues, you refine your search based on those clues, and you go at it again. It's that persistent, methodical detective work that gets results. Of course, any good detective needs a playbook, right? A set of strategies for all kinds of different situations. Well, threat hunters are no different, so let's take a look at their core methodologies. So hunters generally use four main approaches. Intel-driven hunting is kind of like having a most wanted poster. You're looking for known bad guys, or what we call indicators of compromise, like a specific malicious IP address. Then there's TTP-based hunting, which is a bit more advanced. Here, you're looking for the attacker's behavior, their MO, their tactics, no matter what specific tools they're using. Anomaly-based hunting is all about spotting things that just look weird, like a user logging in at 3 in the morning from a country they've never been to. And finally, you have situational hunting, which is usually kicked off by a specific event, like when a major new software vulnerability hits the news. And this right here really highlights the power of that TTP-based or behavior-based approach. Think about it. Attackers can change their tools super easily. They can switch IP addresses, they can recompile their malware files, but their fundamental behaviors, how they break in, how they move around, how they steal data, that stuff is much, much harder for them to change. So by hunting for those behaviors, you can catch them even when they're using brand new, never-before-seen tools. Okay, so we've got the theory down. But what does a hunt actually look like from start to finish? Let's walk through the whole process. You can think of every hunt like it has its own story arc. It all starts with a trigger, which kicks off the investigation. Now, if you find a real threat, you immediately move to containment and eradication. Basically, stop the bleeding and then remove the intruder for good. And crucially, it always ends with lessons learned, so you can make your defenses that much stronger for the next time. Every hunt has to have a starting point. This trigger could be pretty much anything. Maybe a new report on a ransomware gang, an automated alert that shows a weird pattern of failed logins, or honestly, it could just be a hunter's gut feeling based on years of experience. This is the very first thread they start to pull on. All right, so what happens if the investigation turns up something real? The priority shifts instantly to containment. This is the emergency response phase. The whole goal is to stop the damage from spreading, period. You're disconnecting infecting computers from the network, you're disabling any user accounts that might have been compromised, you are building a digital quarantine zone around that threat, and you're doing it fast. Finding one threat is a huge victory for sure, but the real goal of threat hunting isn't just winning one battle. It's about building a continuously improving, truly proactive defense system for the long haul. So how does the security team even know if it's getting better at this? It's not as simple as just counting how many threats you find. It's really about maturing your entire capability, moving from just reacting to trouble to a point where you're both predictive and proactive. This is where something called the hunting maturity model comes in. You can think of it like a roadmap.
At the initial level, you're pretty much purely reactive. At minimal, maybe you do some occasional ad hoc hunting. Procedural means you have actual repeatable processes, but the real goal is to get to innovative and leading, where your hunters are actually creating brand new detection methods and hunting is a core automated part of your daily security operations.
Let's be realistic. During a real crisis, you just can't fix everything all at once. Resources are limited, time is short, and the pressure is intense. So you have to make a choice. What do you save first? The answer is actually pretty simple. You protect what matters most.
In the world of security, these absolutely vital assets are called the crown jewels. And we're not just talking about what's most expensive. We're talking about what's absolutely essential for the organization to even survive. This could be your customer database, your financial systems, your secret intellectual property, the things that, if they were compromised, could cause catastrophic damage. And that really brings it all together. A truly effective remediation strategy isn't random, it's laser-focused. You identify your crown jewels before an attack ever happens. That way, when one does, all your efforts, your containment, your eradication, your recovery, are prioritized around them. You save the heart of the kingdom first.
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In today's world of cybersecurity, just playing defense, well, it just isn't enough anymore. You have to go on the offensive. You have to hunt. So the real question is your team waiting for the alarm, or are they already out there searching for the clues?